typically undergraduate full funding. They cover your tuition.
Yeah.
They cover room and board, so you get like on-campus housing in the residence halls. You get a meal plan, so you can eat for free.
Yeah.
Also at Jackson State, they gave me like $1,000 for books, so like for textbooks for classes.
Yeah.
I was able to buy it with that $1,000.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Ayokunle, and today we have a big fish on our channel today. And her name is Winnie Bush. Can you please introduce yourself a little bit more?
Okay, yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's a pleasure. It's always nice to talk to like-minded people and people who are interested in study abroad. So thank you.
She's also a founder of Study Lens USA.
Yes, Study Lens USA.
And of course, the name of her channel is Winning with Winnie. So if you want to win, you know what to do.
Exactly. You want to win, just come over. But hello. So my name is Winnie Adiarachi Bush. Originally from West Africa, Nigeria. I moved to the US about 8 years ago now. So I moved here for my bachelor's degree. In 2014 was when I moved. So I moved right after, immediately I finished secondary school or high school in Nigeria. I moved to the US. So I have a bachelor's degree in mass communication or multimedia journalism, and I have a master's degree in higher education administration. And then now I currently work full-time in the United States, and I am currently on what is called an H-1B visa, which is the work visa in the US. So that's a little bit about me.
That's such an impressive CV, actually.
Oh, it was so short, though. I didn't even give you the whole story. That was just...
Okay, so guys, today we are going to talk about how to apply for fully funded scholarship. Either you're an undergrad or for postgraduate, PhD, whatever. So for an average or a typical Nigerian, like that wants to, jam, I want come on Nigeria, but there's no money.
All of us.
So it's a unique opportunity. And so what's the first step to do? What's the first thing to actually do when someone wants to apply for a scholarship program? I
truly believe that the first thing you need to do is just doing your research. There are so many resources out there for full funding. I think what Nigerians lack, what Africans lack, is we lack information.
Absolutely.
We don't have the information, so we don't know how to do it. So the first thing is doing your research. When I was moving from when I was moving from Nigeria to the United States, I didn't know anything about scholarship. At first, I started off at what is called a community college. So it's a 2-year college, and typically there you end like an associate's degree. So I have an associate of art.
Right.
So when I started at that 2-year community college, my aunt, she was a campus president in a community college in Michigan. So I was able to go for free because I was related to her.
Okay.
After I finished that 2 years, so that's when the hardship came, because I realized it was time to, transfer over to a 4-year university to get my bachelor's. And my parents are like, we don't have money to sponsor you. So
that's the problem. Yeah.
I was stranded. So I was like, Guinea, like, what am I going to do?
The story of most Nigerians. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was immediately when I started doing my research. I was Googling. Google is my best friend, y'all.
Yeah.
So I was Googling universities that offer full funding, colleges that offer full funding in every state. I didn't even care. I did not care if I was in Mississippi. I did not care if I was in Minnesota. I did not care about the state, as long as the university provided full funding.
Yeah.
And there is a ton. I'm telling you guys, there's a ton of them. So so I guess that would be my advice. The first step is just doing your research.
Do your research,
So, utilizing Google. So just asking on Google, universities that offer full funding in, I don't know, if you want to be in Florida.
Yeah.
Universities that offer full funding in whatever your program you want to go into. So you want to come in for chemistry, you want to come in for biology, you want to come in to be a doctor. So just Googling universities that offer full funding for this.
Yeah.
And I think right now we have so many resources in YouTube. So you have now, there's so many international
tons of exactly.
So many people who are sharing information and who are sharing these resources. So utilizing that as well. There's also social media. There's also you have LinkedIn, if you want to study abroad, you can put it on your story. I think social people shouldn't just use social media as just staying in touch with friends and family.
Yeah, and to post pictures.
Just use it to network. You need to use it
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
network. So
Hmm.
utilizing sites like LinkedIn, there are also
Yeah,
different Facebook groups as well that
yeah.
you can join. That is like Studying USA,
Hmm.
or funded.
Yeah,
So utilizing all of those resources, but the number one key is you want to do your research.
yeah.
You can this is your destiny, this is your dream, this is your goal. You can't wait for someone else to
For
do the work
someone.
for
Yeah.
you.
Hmm.
Mhm. So, I mean, somebody like I can tell you this is a list of universities that offer full funding, but you want to do your research to see
Yeah.
which university go do I want to go
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
at the end of
Exactly.
the day. So, I think my
Yeah.
number one thing is just do your research.
Do your
That's the
research. Yeah.
story.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. Like, so many people just sit back and they expect, someone to actually feed them information. You have to be proactive. You have to, there are so many resources out there. So you
Yeah.
make sure you explore. So my second question is, what are the general requirements, for applying for scholarship programs? Because so many people, when I was in Nigeria, I always think about, oh my God, maybe it's for 4.0 CGPA people. Oh my God, I don't have. What are the general requirements
Yeah.
for application?
I don't think 4.0, it's not even it. I would say the first thing is making sure that you do have a good GPA. So, for example, for me, when I was transferring over, so when I was at my community college, something that helped me was I joined an honor society called Phi Theta Kappa.
Okay.
So being a part of that honor society, if you had a 3.5 GPA, 3.5 and above, a lot of universities offered you full funding just because you were part of that honor society.
Okay.
So a 3.5 GPA and up, I think is a good,
A
but
good base. Yeah.
yes. So like I'm very transparent with my experience. I would say I was, bro, in Nigeria, I was like in classes, I would be second to last in a lot of times. So I wasn't like the smartest kid in the class. I was maybe in the middle.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have to be the smartest, but I think the first one is just making sure that you try to keep good grades.
Yeah.
I think also you need to write a good personal statement. I think the
Okay.
United States, when they're looking at your when they're looking at like your admission, all the things you submit, they look at it holistically. They don't just look at your grade and
It's the whole package. Yeah.
It's the whole package, your whole thing, So you want to make sure you have good grades, medium grades, whatever that means to you. You want to make sure that you have a good personal statement. Like typically, a lot of times they ask you to write an essay talking about. They give you a prompt. So a lot of them could talk about like leadership things you've done, anything. They give you a prompt that they want you to write on. So making sure that you have a good personal statement. Also, what else? Let's see. Yes, your CV, your resume should be good. But I also think the content too. Like I know in Nigeria, people don't really, when you're in school, secondary school, university, it might be tough to find a job that will pay you well. But I think it's good to even volunteering experiences. Volunteer with different organizations. That shows that you're passionate. That shows that you care. Because I think a lot of times when they see that on your resume or your CV, they're like, "Oh yeah." So even though they weren't making money, they were using their time.
It sends a strong message that you're very ambitious. Yeah?
Exactly.
So volunteering programs, maybe job experience as well.
Job experiences as well. Even if it's unpaid, I think that's the thing. A lot of times people are like, "Oh, it has to be paid." Even if it's unpaid, just put it on there. I think as long as it shows that you're a dedicated person, you're committed to doing the work, that's really what you have to show. So I think just adding all of those things. Also a lot of, I know for me personally, I did not apply to any university that required any sort of test. So I never took the SAT. I didn't take the ACT. I did not take GRE. I did not take GMAT. So if that's something that if you're trying to go to a university that requires that, just make sure that you're setting time aside to study for that. So you can try to have as good as a grade. But I can tell y'all, like, you don't need to take any of those exams to get full funding.
Okay, so are you saying that not all the universities require GRE? Because I used to think GRE is like a standardized test,
Not all the universities. So like I did my master's degree, like I said, is in higher education administration. I never took the GRE. I never took GMAT. Typically, I think for my university that I went to for grad school, it's called Kent State University. It's in Kent, Ohio.
Okay.
So with them, for my program, if you had a 3.0 GPA and above, you don't have to submit GRE.
Oh,
so
okay, perfect.
And there's so many other schools like that.
Yeah. So what about transcript evaluation? Like, do you have to, pay extra money for transcript evaluation?
It depends. I think I guess the one thing that's interesting about the US is no school's the same. Like all the schools have different requirements.
Okay.
So for my university, like Kent State, I never had to do transcript evaluation because they have international admission officers who do that on campus. So a lot of universities don't require it, but some universities do. But also, I think it's also like if you're from an English-speaking country, some universities don't require it for you. If the official language in your country is English, they won't require it. But if it's not, then they'll require it. But yeah, every university is different in their requirements.
So that's a very good one. So how am I going to be competitive, like to make sure that I have a very strong? Because let's have it right, so many applicants are receiving so many applicants, right? So how am I going to set myself apart? To have a unique application, like you've spoken about, to have a very good GPA. So what do you think about striking a very good relationship with admission advisors?
I would say, I think in my experience, I don't know how instrumental having a good relationship with them is.
Okay.
So for example, like I've worked in an international office a lot. I know like for this year, like at my university that I currently work at, Kent State, like their graduate admission has doubled.
Okay.
So now it's like it's a lot of it's very competitive because like more people are interested in moving to the United States. Most students are also applied to Kent State University. But I think it's always good. Like I am always for building relationships with people. I say that relationships matter. So if you think that, I think reaching out to the graduate. So typically this is different. Universities, they have an international office. So their international office has an admission person who's in charge of admission. Also, your program. So each program you apply to also have someone within that program that's in charge of admissions as well.
All right.
So I would say that it is great to build relationships with the admission person in your specific program. Yeah. So I think that is what the focus should be, because typically the university overall admission is just to make sure that you meet the minimum requirements.
Okay.
Look, do you have your transcripts? Do you have your personal statement? Do you have your resume? What does your grades look like? Good. Okay. They forward it to your department. So your department is the one who hold the power, I would say.
Okay.
So I think those are the people who it's instrumental to build relationships with them. So I think, reaching out, I would even reach out to the coordinator there to just talk about, like my name is blah, blah, blah. I applied to the program and I just wanted to see, because I think a lot of times they're even open to just meeting with you on Zoom. So I know for my program, for example, like my director was like, do you want to have a conversation over Teams, or, what questions do you have? What questions can we answer for you? So they're always open to having a conversation. So if you feel like your university is like that, like take up that opportunity. Because also that it puts a face to the name, because a lot of times you kind of seem like another statistics to them. So whereas when you reach out to build that relationship with them, it's better. Because they know you. It's like they know you.
They know you personally.
They know you personally. So I think that helps. But I think to be outstanding, to be the best, to be competitive, I think it's making sure that your documents are submitted, like making sure that you have the best resume that you can possibly have. Like we talked about, having those professional experiences, having those volunteer experiences, having leadership as well, opportunities as well. I think it's also taking GMAT, GRE if they require it. I personally, I did not, because I think also for a lot of Africans, we're not able to afford that. So Africans, but also a lot of international students in general. People might not be able to afford that. So if a university is requiring GRE and GMAT, and that's not something you can afford, don't apply there.
Exactly.
There's a ton of
other universities.
For you to apply to. But
yes, and they should also apply to so many universities, right?
I would encourage it. I would. I think, I don't know. I personally did not. So when I was doing, I think Twice. Okay. So when I did for my bachelor's, I applied to a lot. Because at that time, I did not know what universities offered full funding. I was just throwing in all the fish in the river and seeing which one would catch. Whereas when I was doing for my master's program, I only applied to 2 universities.
All right.
So I would say for if you're applying for bachelor's, and I think especially if you're out of the country as well, it's good to to sow different seeds basically. So I think it's good to apply to at least 4. I would advise. Because I think a lot of, especially now, because a lot more students are interested in moving to the United States, like universities might be able to accept you, but they might not have funding for you. So it is better to have at least 3 other options. So I love some options. Like I don't like to put all my thing in one basket.
Put your eggs in one basket.
I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So I would definitely advise applying to at least 4 universities.
Okay.
I think it's also good to have a mix of universities. So there are universities where you don't have to take the GRE, you don't have to take the GMAT. So apply to some of those. There are also universities that you don't have to pay an application fee as well. So apply to some of those universities as well. So that way is like, even if they don't accept you or you don't get funding, you're not losing anything in a way because you don't have to pay them any fee. So I would say like apply to as many universities as you're able to. You know, if you want to do 20, do 20. You know, whatever. Just know that sometimes it's a financial burden as well because like some universities have that application fee, whereas
many others don't. And so when is the ideal time to apply, to start submitting the application?
Yeah, every school is different as well to submit application. I would say, like, for example, if you're trying to, this fall is about to be too late. So fall is typically in August. That's when the fall semester starts in August. So typically, I know like for the international admissions people, they always say apply at least a year before the year you want to start. For example, the next class now would be the fall of 2023. So people who want to start in August of next year. So you should be trying to get all your materials ready now. Typically, universities will have, especially for graduate school, they'll have like December 1 as their deadline. Generally, every university in America is different. None of them have the same deadline.
Time,
so it's just everyone's different. But typically, like I know, like my program for my master's program, it was December 1st was their deadline, and then a lot of them, especially for graduate school. So if you're coming to do your master's or your PhD, they do like interviews as well. So they have to interview you for admissions. Also, sometimes they also interview you for a graduate assistantship, which is their funding. Portion of it. So December 1st, I would say. But I tell people right now, like, try to get all your materials together. You know, a lot of times they'll also, like, universities will request for references from you. So people, whether it's faculty member or staff members, to talk about the work you've done, talk about your leadership, your character. So this is the time to now start reaching out to some of those people to be like, like I'm planning on applying to schools in the United States. Would you be able to serve as a positive reference for me? Like this is the time to start doing those things. If you're somebody that wants to take SAT or ACT, I wasn't one of them, but if you're someone that wants to take that, this is also the time to start, preparing yourself to take the test as well. GRE.
So the earlier the better, actually.
Exactly. The earlier the better. I would I agree with that.
Yeah. So I think basically you've answered almost every question here. So now let's move to the universities that you recommend personally.
So many. I'm like,
I know.
I pulled up the document. I don't.
So guys, again, our YouTube channel, the link will be in the description. The name of our channel is Winning with Winnie.
I like the way you say it. Winning.
So thank you very much once again for coming. And guys, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and again, we'll see you again in the next one. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.